Welcome back to Glasgow. It's Jim White. The Euros, of course, in full swing. And, of course, who can forget those disturbing images of Christian Eriksen collapsing on the pitch in Copenhagen at the weekend. Christian Eriksen is improving. He's in hospital, and that's the amazing news today. He says, big thanks for your sweet and amazing greetings and messages from all around the world. It means a lot to me and my family. I'm fine under the circumstances, and what circumstances they were, of course. He suffered a cardiac arrest on the pitch at the weekend. And for many like myself, it made me think right away of Justin Edinburgh, Tottenham legend, former Gillingham, Northampton, Leyton Orient manager. And in June 2019, Justin went into sudden cardiac arrest and he died 5 days after that. Now, the Justin Edinburgh 3 Foundation is a registered charity in England and Wales, and it raises awareness around CPR and the use of defibrillators, of course. And it campaigns for legislative change. Hashtag Justin's Law. And the man behind that is the son of Justin Edinburgh, Charlie Edinburgh, who joins us live this lunchtime. Charlie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much for joining us. Chris Ewolumo is with me. So too is Alex Crook. And down in London, Simon. You know Simon very well. Charlie, before we talk about what you're up to, tell me your thoughts when you saw what happened to Christian at the weekend.
Horrific puts it very, very lightly, Jim, to be honest. It resurfaced a lot of bad feelings and emotions, as you can imagine, and sort of brought the horror of my dad's tragic passing back to the forefront of our minds. There was tears in our house. We was actually watching the game live, and myself and my mum, and seeing the horrific images that everybody witnessed on Saturday, it was ever so sad. But we're just so grateful that Christian's pulled through, and this is why the J3 Foundation exists, and we're trying to raise awareness of the importance of that chain of survival and the amazing efforts of the Danish medics with Christian on Saturday.
And this is where the call for Justin's Law comes in, isn't it? Because you want to see defibrillators, Charlie, installed as a mandatory piece of equipment at all sports facilities right across the country.
100%. I think that my dad was working out in a gym at the time when he suffered his cardiac arrest, and there wasn't a defibrillator on site, and ultimately that proved to be his downfall. You look at statistics and it clearly states, in Christian's case on Saturday, he was lucky in that respect of where he was. Not that we would wish that upon anybody, but if you was to look at the positives out of it all, he was very fortunate where he was, how quickly he was responded to, and how quickly a defibrillator was available. It was almost immediate, which gives you pretty much a 90% chance of survival. Anything after sort of 4 or 5 minutes, your chances of survival are less than 50%, and it then deteriorates drastically after that. So, it is so important that Justin's Law comes into fruition. It doesn't matter what your sport, you need to be safe. And Christian is a prime example, a top athlete playing at the very highest level on a global stage, and he goes into cardiac arrest during a game. It needs to be everywhere. They need to be in these types of facilities, and we need everybody on board with what we're doing.
Charlie's right, Chris. That's why we need Justin's Law to be made law.
Yeah, he's spot on. I was going to ask you, Charlie, there is, obviously, if something like that was to happen, there is courses all in quite a few destinations in England that you go and learn what to do if someone was to collapse with cardiac arrest. There is courses, isn't there?
Absolutely, yes. The J3 Foundation, we're looking to roll out our CPR and defibrillator workshops in the not-too-distant future. Myself, obviously, after my dad's tragic event, I went and learned it through the likes of St John's Ambulance, for example. There's plenty of fantastic cardiac-related charities that are doing some fantastic work.
That's amazing, Charlie. Simon, just listening to Charlie there, you and I have met Charlie before. We've spoken to him in the very studio that you're sitting in, Simon, right now. But he speaks such sense. Again, we are delighted Christian Eriksen is recovering.
Of course.
But it's brought the whole thing back into focus, Simon.
Well, of course it has. and ultimately, we look at the landscape and say that a defib unit costs between £500 and £1,500. So if you block purchase them, they're probably about £700-800. The Premier League has just had to give up £22 million from 6 clubs that have had to be penalised for their misdeeds. There's £22 million that could buy 22,000 of these units, which is free money that's come out of the ether of people's deeds. Also, the nature of CPR training is part and parcel of what people should be thinking. It shouldn't just be defib units. It should be people's ability to be able to deal with CPR and the manual resuscitation side of things. So there's money there because you've just seen £22 million being made available by 6 clubs for the consequences of their actions. And it was very sad, as Charlie will be aware, of the situation that we saw yesterday. Michelle was covering it on her news platform, GB News, about kids breaking into a football stadium, into a football or a sports club, smashing up a defibrillator because they seem to be making some sort of statement. Did you see that, Charlie?
I saw that. I couldn't believe it. You would see it, Charlie. That would break your heart.
Yeah, it was Buxton FC, and we've reached out to them and we've offered to replace the vandalised defibrillator. But Simon's totally correct. It's making, especially the younger generation, aware of just how vital these pieces of equipment are. And that I think these people are probably going to be brought to justice for their actions and what they did. But I feel that a more suitable punishment for them would be to have them walk through a cardiac unit, see the effects of what that potentially life-saving piece of equipment. I would love to speak to them myself, just to make them aware of what that piece of equipment could have potentially done for my dad. It's so terrible, and there's a real naivety about it in this country that needs to be improved, and that's for certain.
Absolutely. Charlie, you do know, and I'm sure you do know this, that we are right behind you here at talkSPORT in your campaign for legislative change, Justin's Law. We're with you all the way in this, Charlie, and we'll celebrate it when it actually is achieved. You know that?
No, absolutely, Jim. I can't thank yourselves all for the continued support from the moment, we tragically lost Dad. There's been nothing but amazing support from yourself and everybody at talkSPORT.
Charlie, as always, our hearts are with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And our love goes out to Christian and his family at this extremely difficult time, and we wish him all of the best with his recovery.
Well said, Charlie.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.